Yeah, nowhere near that. That was way off. I'd put a few spods out earlier, another bite. Awesome. Right, we're back on a bank. We are back up in Oxfordshire, back on the Embryo Syndicate Fills Lake. I've actually got a 48-hour session to go, and I'll be honest, I'm already 24 hours through it. That's because myself and Hugh filmed another carp experiment, and we decided to do it up on our Fill Syndicate because it was a good place to test out the theory of heavy baiting versus baiting little and often or lighter baiting. So we've tested out over a 24-hour period to see which one come out on top. Now, if you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link for it up here, but it's going to be already live on the channel because I am going to put that one out before this. But in this session, we are essentially doing an in-session on fills. I'm going to be showing you what's happened for the previous 24 hours and the next 24 hours going forward. So it is going to be a 48-hour session, but it's already been good. I'll be honest, I'll give you a little bit of a hint. I've already had a 30, so happy days. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be a few more fish along the way. So I hope you like this kind of content. If you do, remember to smash that subscribe button. We're trying to hit the 5k mark before the end of the year, and we are creeping very close to it, so let's hope we can hit that. So give us a hand and smash that subscribe button now. Also, if you like this kind of video, give it a thumbs up, and also check out the social media shown at the bottom of the screen now. But anyway, I need to get back in the swim, get the rods out on the spots, and let's see if we can have a few more fish. I'm just redoing the rods. I've just let Hugh out the gate. He's gone now, and I've got another 24 hours ahead of me. So I brought the rods in, let him out the gate, use the toilet as you do. After 24 hours, I definitely needed to use that. And I've just re-wrapped the rods up, fresh rigs. I'm going to put another lot of bait out, get the rods out onto the spot, and we'll see if we can have a repeat performance of the first 24 hours, which would be nice. It'd be nice to have a few more fish, but we see how it's going. We've got a big side wind that's picked up now. We've got a really big stormy front coming in. We're meant to have quite a bit of rain this evening, so we'll see how the session goes. But that's the third rod wrapped up now, so they're all ready to go. I'm going to put the rigs on them and send them out into the pond. It's probably going to take a few casts because we've got this big side wind from right to left, and I'm fishing just over 100 yards, so it's a decent whack. But let's get the rods out, get some more bait in, and let's see if we can have a few more. Right, first rod going back out then. So like I said, we've got a real big side wind. It does make it casting quite tricky, and I'm sure this is going to take me a few casts. We'll see how we get on. Come on. Yeah, nowhere near that. That was way off. And that is pretty typical, let's be honest. It takes a few casts. The reality of fishing, if you want to fish accurately, it's going to take you a few casts to get 3 rods on a spot. Now, I'm not actually fishing a really tight spot. I'm fishing a slightly larger zone. I would call it a zone as opposed to a spot. Normally a spot, I believe, is like a very small feature, and you're condensing those rods real close together, sometimes within, like, you know, 3 foot of each other or so, if you're able to fish really accurately. I'm fishing more sort of a wider zone. I think the rods are probably spread sort of half a rod length to a rod length apart, so they're not really tight together, and because of that I'm using a bit more of a spread on the bait as well. To be fair, that one, you're going to hit the clip properly, that one. That was a rubbish cast. There we go. As soon as I hit it properly, it goes out to the spot. And I didn't get a lot of bow in that. That was nice. So this reel is a little bit low of line because I ended up losing quite a bit of line yesterday after getting a bit of a bird's nest, which we previously mentioned, but it definitely makes it a bit harder to cast it, not having quite as much line on there as you might normally have, so that's definitely not helped the situation. That one went out alright. Win. That was short. No, that's gone too far left. That's too far to the right. Oh dear. No, that's gone to the left. Oh dear me. This is literally what it's like. To be fair, I've not had it this bad for a while. This is terrible. Yeah, see, that's basically over the top of the other rod. Basically that is absolutely bang on the spot. Right, so the right and middle are probably going to be reasonably close together, and then the left one's a little bit off. But I think that'll be okay. Right, rod's out, we are fishing. What an ordeal that was. Right, time to get some bait out. Let's hope this goes better. So the rods are back out on the spot then. I've redone them. After Hugh went, I let him out the gate, come back, gave the swim a bit of a rest, redone the rods, re-wrapped them up, back onto the same spot, fresh rigs, fresh baits, and then put another lot of bait out there. Now, just to explain what's happened, the reason you've joined me 24 hours into a session is because we actually did a different video for the first 24 hours. So we filmed a carp experiment, and if you've been following our channel, you probably know what that is, but if you haven't, basically we've started to do some different videos just to try and spice it up a little bit and add a little different element to the style of videos we do, and we basically try and compare different tactics. So it might be, for example, we've done bottom baits versus pop-ups, we've done match to hatch versus fluoros, and in this session, or the first 24 hours, we did baiting little and often versus heavy baiting, and it's quite interesting to sort of see how things work out, see what produces the best results, and it's interesting for us because it obviously gives us an idea of what might have worked better on that day going forward, and obviously it helps you guys because you can then see what might work better for you as well if you want to try some different tactics. But it's very interesting sort of thing to do, and it's good to get people's feedback. So if you want to watch that video, then I'll leave a link up the top now which you can click on and go and watch it, and that'll show you obviously how that session went, and it ended up being quite productive. I kicked it off quite early on with a nice 30 at the lake. Hugh had a nice upper 20, I think it was 28 plus in the early hours, and then I had one a couple of hours after his, and that was a 20 pounder, I think it was £20.10. So in the end, the heavy baiting tactics actually produced 2 fish, and the little and often only produced 1. So it was quite an interesting experiment, but basically that's what happened for the first 24 hours. So as it stands, I've already caught 2 fish on this session, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to put a few more fish on the bank. Now, like I've said, I've redone the rods, I've put another lot of bait out there. I'm actually still sticking with the heavy baiting tactic, so I put out about maybe 3 kilos, maybe a bit more than that initially yesterday at the start of the first 24 hours. I didn't put any more bait out, I just fished all through the session, fishing over just that one lot of bait, and then I've actually just done the same again. I've put another maybe 3 to 4 kilos out on that spot, put another hit of bait out there, and we're going to see if we can have any more fish off of it. So I'm quite confident that I might have a few more. I've seen the odd fish showing, and so I'm feeling pretty good that we might have a chance of having 1 or 2 more, hopefully. It'd be nice to get another chunk, but obviously I talked through my general approach, like rigs and bait and all that sort of stuff, later in the video, but that's what I'm doing. So anyway, I'm going to put the kettle on, have a coffee, and hopefully I'll be showing you a fish very soon. I've been stood down by the water's edge for about 10 or 15 minutes just listening for any sounds. There's still a little bit of light at the moment. Oh, there's one I think just showing out there. That's out towards my bait, that. A little bit to the right of it, but in a general direction, probably about the right distance. I was going to say I've seen a couple show in the general area of the bait. I've seen a couple show to my right more as well, sort of halfway between where I am and the island. And just before the light went, Jeff lost a fish. He was one of the bailiffs. He's fishing over on the point. He turned up this morning, and yeah, he's lost a fish over on the point. But other than that, there's not been any other action. I don't think anyone else is caught. I think there's only one other guy I think on that. I think there was a guy at the top end. I don't know if he had anything, but there's just one guy over on the other bank in the big log swim where I've done a bit of time. But yeah, it's looking good. I'm confident. It is so mild. We're meant to be getting a lot of wet weather tonight, so it might be a case of getting in the bag early, but I'm actually going to do a little bit of editing. I've got the laptop with me, my old MacBook Pro, so I'm going to do a little bit of editing and try and catch up on some footage I've been doing. And yeah, I'll have a bit of food in a bit, and probably a couple of brews, and hopefully when the rods will go tanking off. But I'm going to do the obligatory check of the alarms, as you do, before settling for the night, just to make sure no one's magically come along and switched everything off, which, to be fair, the night lights were glowing, so I know everything's legit. But yeah, we've got to do that just to make sure everything's nice and in order. As you can see, I've now got green LEDs on the alarms. That's not because I've bought some more Delkims. I've actually gone and got myself a set of the ProLogic Fulcrums, which I really like. For the price, they're absolutely fantastic, full of features. I will probably do a little bit of a review on them at some point, but yeah, absolutely love them. So anyway, I'm going to get a kettle on, have myself a brew, and get back to the laptop. But yeah, let's hope when the rods goes rattling off. Oh, first swig of coffee of the morning. It's definitely the best tasting one of the day. So you might be able to see the sun is pushing through, which is absolutely beautiful this morning. We have had a miserable night. It has been so dark and grim and horrid. It really has been quite a bad one. I got up at a reasonable time this morning and it still felt like night. It was just so dark where it was so overcast that yes, really strange, really strange. But obviously it's brightened up a bit now. The sun's sort of trying to push through a bit, so hopefully it's going to warm the water up slightly, because I think all that water that's gone in overnight is probably cooled it off, which is probably not going to be very helpful. I didn't really hear anything in the night, mainly because I was in my sleeping bag having a good kip, because it is so grim. but it was really mild, if I'm honest. Like temperature wise, I had to get in a bag with just a t-shirt on, and which just had a top layer on. I've got like a twin layer sleeping bag, which I guess is like a 5-season, and I just went under the top layer, which I think is a 2-season bag. So yeah, it was very, very warm. I mean, I was really toasty in there, so it was definitely a warm night, even though we had so much rain. But obviously that rain going into the lake, I think, has probably cooled it off quite a bit. But we'll see what happens. I've seen a fish show not far off of the bait this morning. I haven't seen anything show anywhere else, but to be honest, it's only sort of in the last sort of 10 minutes or so become bright enough to really get a good look at the lake. It's been so overcast and horrible. So, but we've got a day ahead of us. Fingers crossed something happens today. Shame it didn't happen in the night, but if I'm honest, I didn't really want to go out and get absolutely drowned in the night. It wouldn't have been very nice, unless, well, I might have done it if it was a unit, but I've already had a 30, so I can't complain. But yeah, we'll see how the rest of the session pans out, and hopefully we'll have some today. But what we can do is try, and yeah, hopefully we'll have another one for the cameras. So we've had another bite then, left hand rod, nice steady take, picked the rod up, started giving it a bit of side strain. It started to kite right, and as it was doing that, the middle rod pinged out of the clip. I thought, oh, I've got a double bite. Then the right hand rod pinged out of the clip, and I thought, I don't think I've got a triple bite. Obviously the fish has managed to go for the other lines. I was playing the fish back, got it back a reasonable distance, and then it's all gone absolutely solid. And I think what's happened is the other two lines have probably got pulled into some weed, and then that's created a load of tension. And you can probably imagine what's going to be the next thing. The fish has obviously dropped off. So very frustrating, but it's nice to get another bite. I think when I put the rods out yesterday, the wind was really hacking across from right to left. And although I thought I took the bow, or most of the bow, out of the line, I think there's probably a bit more of a bow in the line than I initially thought. And then this morning, the wind sort of died off a little bit. I imagine those lines have then dropped, where the bow's obviously been taken out of them, where the wind's died off. I think they've probably then lowered down slightly into the water. I think as that fish is sort of kited to the right, it's obviously gone straight through those lines. So yes, unfortunately I lost it. It was frustrating, and it was a steady take. Now I don't know what size of the fish was, but generally speaking, when you get a nice steady take, it tends to be a little bit of a better fish, which is obviously in the back of my mind. But it's nice to get a bite, and since I have seen another fish show. Now I've only put 2 rods back out, and the reason for that is I do need to pop up the shop and get some water, because I'm going to stay till just after dark, and I'm running very low on water, and I wouldn't mind another couple of brews, to be fair, during the afternoon. So it's only a couple of minutes around the corner, so I'm going to just reel them in and nip down the shop for a bit. So I've just put 2 rods straight back out there because I have seen a fish show again, and I'm going to just leave them out there for an hour. My phone is flat of battery, so I've got that on charge on the power pack, so I'm going to let that charge up, leave the rods for about another hour, and I'm going to pop round the shop. Then I come back and I put all 3 of them back out on the spot, probably put a couple of spoms back on the money as well, and I'll just leave it for the rest of the day then, and just hope that the fish do get on the bait for the afternoon. But it's a nice sign, so hopefully we'll have another opportunity. But yeah, we'll catch up with you in a bit and let you know what's going on. Right, I've brought the rods in then. I have reeled in. I left the rods out for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours after losing that fish and seeing a fish show on the spot. The wind's picking up again, so the audio is probably terrible, but I've got the camera bag on. I'm just going to pop up the shop and get some milk, because I think it's got warm and it's starting to curdle in the tea, which is rank. And I need to get a bit of extra water, because I managed to lose a bit of water after knocking the water butt over yesterday. So yeah, I'm going to go and do that, get a few bits, get back in the swim, get the rods back out, and then spend the afternoon with the rods in situ on the spot, and hopefully we'll have one. I've just met a new member as well, who's a subscriber to the channel. I think his name was James, so nice to meet you, mate, and thanks for following the channel and watching the vids. But anyway, let's get round to the shop, get a few bits, and get back in the swim so we can get the rods back out. Right, just back from the shop, just parked the van up, locked up the gate, got myself a bit of water, some milk, and I may have bought a bag of sweets as well. But let's get back to the swim, get those rods out, let's catch a carp. So then, we're back in the swim. I've just put a fresh bait on the first rod. I'm just going to do the second rod. I thought I'd show you how quickly I can put the baits on. So I'm using my special glugged up DNA bug bottom baits. These are straight out of the bag bottom baits, kind of baits you're going to spot out and feed. I've got them in there in a couple of different sizes, 8mm, 12mm and 18mm, just so that they cover different situations, and obviously if I want to use a slightly different size bait I can do. And they're just glugged up in some of the different liquid bug attractors that you can buy. So I've got one, I've used a bit of the bait soak, put that in there initially, left that to soak through the baits for quite a while. I've then put on the booster liquid, which is a much more concentrated liquid, and that kind of sits a little bit more, I think, then on the outside of the bait, so it gives that real initial boost of attraction, which can potentially get you that quicker bite. I don't put so much of that on because it is very concentrated. I only put a little bit of that in there just to sort of give them a very thin coating on the outside. I then let that settle in, and then after a few days or so they tend to go a bit tacky, and then I just dust on some of the bug ground bait mix that you can use, and I dust a little bit of that on there, and that just adds a nice texture to the outside of the bait. If you have to do a couple of casts, it's probably not going to stay on there, but if you do a single cast and get it on the money first time, it is definitely going to retain quite a bit of that exterior sort of surface, which is obviously going to give a little bit of extra attraction initially when it hits the bottom. It's just going to give like a little bit of a boost of particles around the bait as it hits the deck. So anyway, I'll put them onto the rig. So obviously I'm using my D-rigs, and I use a bait spike to attach the baits, and this is how easy it is. So these baits are reasonably soft, so I can just push the bait spike straight through it nice and carefully. That's the bottom bait on, and then get a pop-up. Now these are obviously a lot harder, so these do need to be screwed on. So then you just get your pop-up, push it in a little bit, and just slowly start to screw it on. Don't do it too fast because you could potentially split the bait or cause a bigger hole than you need to, and then you're going to lose some of the buoyancy. But that then just screws straight onto the top of there, and I screw it down quite tight onto the top of the other bait, so it almost flattens it down a little bit. That way they're nice and flush together, and there you go. That is the hook bait on. And as you can see, it's a lot easier than using a hair rig with a hair stop, or if you use bait floss on a little micro ring, you obviously then have to burn the tag, you have to thread them on and all that sort of stuff. So it just saves a lot of messing around. I find the 8mm pop-up with the 8mm bottom bait and then that bait spike balances really well, so it sits just lovely up off the deck, and then obviously the hook sits nicely on the bottom, and yeah, it's ready for a carp to smash it. So let's get the other rod done. I'm going to do 2 on the pink toppers, and I'm going to do 1 on white. Get them back out in the pond. I'm going to put a couple of spods out there as well, just to sort of freshen up the spot, and yeah, let's hope the afternoon is productive. God, that wind. Yes, that was lovely. Now the rod is still in the clip at the moment, but what I try and do is mend the line as quick as I can, and then once the line is sort of straightened up towards the lead and I've managed to sink it a bit, I will then take a bit of line off and undo the clip, as if I do this, settle it, and then it doesn't look right, I can then recast the rod. It's still in the clip. And also, when you first cast it out, that's the most important time to try and get the line mended. The longer you leave that line laying across the surface, the more of a bow you're going to get, and the longer it's going to take you to sort it out. So, I mean, hopefully me talking through this sort of stuff is useful. I'm not just sort of babbling away and it's not interesting to you, but what I can do now, I'll just back up a little bit to the clip. and then undo the clip, and then tighten back down, just like that. And then that means the line's nice and tight to the spot, and I didn't have to mess around with too much bow. Now another thing you may have seen, because I'm walking back, I'm fishing about 100 yards, and one of the things that I'm doing, because there's such a bow in the line, is I'm actually clipping up an extra rod length on the actual main rods on the spot. And the reason for that is because I'm having to take up so much slack to make up for the bow. I've worked out by walking the rod back like that to the clip, it's about a rod length. And so it just means that I know this, I'm going to be a lot more accurately getting the rods on the money, if you see what I mean. So it's all these little things they do make a big difference in your fishing, in how accurately you can get the rods out onto the spots. Now if I lift that rod up, yeah, so I can see they're going out lovely onto that spot now. And then we'll just do the last one. Yeah, that looked all right, that. So I'm just taking slack out the line. Once most of it's sunk, I can just slowly sort of tighten down a little bit. There's still quite a bow in it by the look of it. Basically by holding the rod to the right into the wind, that obviously helps straighten up the line. And after a while that bow will slowly come out. We should be on the money. Yeah, that looks like that's alright. And then it's in the case again, just walking back, we'll see how much we've taken off. See how much we have to take off. Okay, that's a little bit over a rod length, so that's probably falling slightly shorter. Right, I'm just going to put some bait out over the top of the rods that I've just put out. I think the wireless microphone might have run out of battery, so I'm not sure how much you heard, but I've basically just put 3 rods out on the spot. I'm now going to put a couple of spoms over the top of them, just to get a bit of that extra attraction out there. And yeah, fingers crossed it's going to go banging off with a chunk. So let's see what happens. Go on, lad. what a result. Another fish. Right, I've just had that fish. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I've just had that fish. It's just resting in the net. Put up quite a nice scrap, as you would have seen. And I'm going to quickly wrap the rod up again. It's done the lead, so I'm just putting on a new lead. 4 ounce textured distance lead. Just lightly put the tail rubber on there so it ejects. Or let's check the rig. The hook actually looks quite sharp, to be honest. It looks needle, but generally speaking, I will always change a rig once I've had one. And funnily enough, when I had that bite, I was actually tying up some fresh rigs, cutting up old ones, taking off all the usable components, like the anti-tangle sleeves and the bait spikes, and I was tying up a couple of fresh ones when I had that bite. So let's put a fresh one on. So that was on the 8mm bottom bait and 8mm pop-up. Sorry, 12mm, not 8mm. Don't know why I keep saying 8mm. I'm feeding 8mm and 12mm. But the baits are actually 12. I don't know why I keep saying 8. Just must have the number in my head. On the left-hand rod, which is the side of the swim where I lost one this morning. But we put this back out as quick as we can. I'd obviously put about 5 spods out earlier on, so I'll probably put another couple of spods out as well. Potentially that switched them on. Right, and there we go. We're good to go. Fresh rig, new lead. Let's get it out there, and then we'll have a look at a fish. Nice early afternoon bite then. The rods have been back out about an hour after putting a couple of spods out. Obviously went up the shop, put the rods back out, a couple of spoms over the top, and it's gone off again. Just over 17.7 I think it was. Lovely fish, put up a nice little scrap. Didn't cause me too many problems, it was quite enjoyable. But yeah, happy days. There's the other side. Lovely fish. Well, a bit bigger than the last one. I'd recast that rod before I got the last one out for the photos, and just as I was taking the photos, Jeff walked into the swim, who's the bailiff, and we were just having a little bit of a chat, and within a few minutes the same rod that I'd put back out had gone again. £25 too. Another one on the DNA bug. Nice little snowman setup. I'd put a few spods out earlier. Another bite. Let's get that rod back out, put a few more spods out there, and let's see if we can get another one. I'll flip him round now, so you can see the other side. He's a lovely fish. But yeah, happy days. Nice to have a few fish today. I don't know, there's something about this lake. When the sun comes out, they really do seem to switch on. I've said it to a few of the members. No, don't think it's not going to happen when it's sunny. They seem to really like the sun. I think that's why it's such a really slow winter venue, because I think they just absolutely love the warmer conditions. But yeah, cracking. Anyway, let's get her back, see if we can get a bigger one. What a cracking fish. She's got a nose caught. There we go. Awesome. Well, this is a little bit of a close update, but as you can see, the light is now gone. It's been dark for probably 20 minutes or so, like properly dark. Still fishing, still got the 3 rods out on the money. Hopefully we're going to have a final fish before we go, but since those 2 that I had this afternoon, I haven't had any other interest or any other action. It's been pretty quiet out there, to be fair. I have seen the odd fish show as and when I've been watching the water, so the fish is still reasonably active, so I'm holding out for the chance of a last bite just after dark and that, but everything's pretty much packed down. I've got the little brolly up behind me, just as it is forecast to rain about 9, although I should be on the road pretty much before then, but just in case a shower comes in early, I've left a little brolly up just in case I get caught in it. But everything else is packed away on the barrow, and yeah, I've just got some bare essentials like the brew kit and that out. But I did top the spot up after those couple of fish. I left it about half an hour, maybe an hour, and then put another couple of spods out. I think I put about 4 or 5 out just to sort of get another bit of bait in, because that seemed to obviously do the trick with those 2 in the afternoon. But I've not done anything else. I've left the rods back out there. Like I said, just put a few more spods out just to refresh it, get a bit more scent out in the water, and try and sort of draw some fish back onto the zone. But obviously it's not happened yet, but we've still got a bit of time. I've got about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, until I'm going to probably bring the rods in and get going. So I just hope one of the rods goes rattling off in the meantime. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident I can get a last one, but it's fishing. It's up to them, and then at the end of the day, we've just got to sit here and let them do their thing and hopefully hang themselves on the end of one of the rods. But let's hope for a last minute chunk before we have to go.